Hey guys, welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons Homebrew Builds, the series where I'll be constructing classes, weapons, races, and more based on characters and items from your favorite anime, comics, TV shows, and video games. Today, in celebration of the anime release of the final manga arc of my favorite shonen anime ever, Bleach, I'll be constructing a Soul Reaper class. Now, I actually wanted to create a class particularly inspired by the Thousand Year Blood War units in Bleach Brave Souls, as that was actually my first exposure to the Blood War arc. Okay, story time. So it was December, Christmas of 2017. A 16-year-old Christian was absolutely devastated after spending like $100 trying to pull the brand new Gear 4th Luffy Bound Man on One Piece Treasure Cruise. A little context, he's my favorite character and I'd been waiting for him to drop for a couple of years at that point, yet like 400 free-to-play gems went down the drain. I was sad and wanted to take a break from OPTC, so I looked for a new shonen anime gacha game and found Bleach Brave Souls. Now, it had been like 6 years since I had been into Bleach because, like most Bleach normies, I watched the anime and then moved on, never reading or knowing about the Blood War arc. I still liked it though, so I looked into the game and found out that they were doing a special Christmas release of a trio of brand new units. A special banner of limited units called Blood Warfare units, versions of characters from the, quote, 1000-year Blood War arc. I didn't know what that meant, but I recognized all the characters and thought the limited factor was cool. One thing confused me though, that Captain Unohana was being referred to as Yachiru. I thought it was maybe a different related character, so I looked into it and found out about the 1000-year Blood War arc. It was the fucking coolest thing I had ever seen. I was 100% over Gear 4th Luffy just like that, and my new goal was to get at least one 1000-year Blood War character, and that I did. I got fucking Yachiru Unohana, the undisputed goddess of all meta. After that, I blew through the game easy mode and the rest is history. Bleach replaced Naruto as my favorite of the shonen big three and became one of my favorite anime of all time. Fast forward to now, my account is insanely stacked, I'm still a super Bleach fan, and I owe all of my continued love of shonen anime and many good gacha rules to Bleach Brave Souls. So as you can imagine, the 1000-year Blood War, particularly the Blood Warfare units in BBS, hold a special place in my heart. So, the class I built was actually built off of an already made homebrew class called Soul Reaper on the D&D wiki, but I heavily modified it to reflect a Soul Reaper class based on the units from the 1000-year Blood War Round 1 banner. A lot of the original features remain to preserve the original author's original intent or flair, but it's been heavily enough modified to be something I can proudly call my own, a tribute to the Bleach that I love so much. Each variant of the Soul Reaper class I construct will be based on a banner, so the first variant is the Eyes Wide Open banner. The next will be the Thirst variant, and I will keep trying to release each banner in a kind of one subclass per episode schedule. So since the first banner featured 4 characters, Eyes Wide Open was supposed to drop with the release of episode 4 of the new anime, but I'll just have to play catch up because of my busy schedule. For now, we'll get started with the Soul Reaper Eyes Wide Open class, featuring subclasses based on the Byakuya Kuchiki, Toshiro Hitsugaya, Sajin Komamura, and Shunsui Kyoraku 1000-year Blood War units. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. So a majority of the base stats are straight from the D&D wiki class, so I'll go ahead and rattle them off since I had no part in creating this portion of the class. Your hit die is a D10, your spell ability score is intelligence. You are proficient in both light and medium armor. You're proficient with simple and martial weapons. You are proficient with the Gigai and Jikokucho tools. More on that later. Your saving throw proficiencies are in dexterity and constitution. And your skill proficiencies can be 3 of the following: acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, investigation, perception, religion, and survival. Hit die is good for a warrior, same as a fighter, int is fine, same as a wizard, though I might have gone with wisdom personally. The armor and weapon proficiencies fit with what I know of the series, the tools are cools. The saving throws are good, might have gone with dex and charisma instead, since charisma is supposed to be your power of will or your soul or whatever. 3 skill proficiencies is dope, and all the skills add up. With that out of the way, we have a couple of features early on that are, again, not my creation in any way. However, they are the reason I chose to build this class from the existing wiki class. It does a good job of giving you the basic Soul Reaper powers. Then in later levels, you get the BBS Blood Warfare inspired features that I made, so that you can go from generic Soul Reaper to Shunsui Kyoraku, Captain Commander of the 13 Court Guard Squads, or whatever you end up choosing. Anyways, with lighter than a feather starting at first level, while in your Soul Reaper form, you are lighter than a feather. You can move your normal walking speed through the air as if you were flying. However, if something were to paralyze you or cause your movement speed to fall to 0, you begin to fall. This includes going unconscious. Now we can fly like Soul Reapers, and I use air quotes that you guys can't see, because the function of this ability is kinda weird. Sometimes the Soul Reapers fly, sometimes they walk on invisible platforms of reishi, which is my understanding of the power. Maybe I'm forgetting why they just flat out fly sometimes, and it was explained in like the Soul Society arc or an earlier arc I haven't watched or read in a while. And if that's the case, do let me know in the comments down below, but with this feature, so long as you aren't in your Gigai, you can basically fly. For more information on the Gigai and the Jigokucho, check out the wiki class linked in the description below. The Gigai gets a bit of explanation in an upcoming feature, but the Jigokucho, well, does not. Another feature we get at first level is Reaper's Gi. A Reaper's Gi, like his Zanpakuto, is made of his soul pressure, meaning that it can be repaired by the will of its wearer, and is stronger than a normal robe. While you're wearing your Reaper's Gi, add your Constitution to your armor class alongside your Dexterity. 10 plus Con plus Dex. As your power as a Soul Reaper increases, so does the strength of your Reaper's Gi. At 6th level, your Gi is plus 1. At 9th level, your Gi is plus 2. And at 13th level, your Gi is plus 3. There we go, we have a Soul Reaper flavored unarmored defense option, which is important for any martial class that doesn't typically wear armor. That said, differently from my recent Grappler Baki classes, this class actually can wear armor to start with if their armor is better than their Reaper's Gi, as they have a couple of armor proficiencies. The Reaper's Gi will certainly become the better option later in the campaign, as it scales in power to you just like it does in the series. However, you may have access to armor earlier that is superior, and you can wear it and still be proficient with it. With Zanjutsu at first level, you gain the ability of Zanjutsu. Zanjutsu is the skill that allows Soul Reapers to create a sword from their soul pressure, and manifest it in physical form, as well as handle the blade proficiently. This skill also binds the Zanpakuto to the creator. This means that only the person with a matching soul may wield the Zanpakuto. Discuss with your DM to determine the Zanpakuto, a real one may be used if the DM approves. Shout out to the original creator for including that Zanjutsu definition, but anyway, that message at the end was obviously part of the original intent of the class for you to be your own unique Soul Reaper. However, this class as I'm making it aims to see you take the role of an existing Soul Reaper, so your Zanpakuto will be an existing one, matching to whomever you decide to become in your Blood Warfare archetype at 7th level. With the penultimate first level feature, Soul Transference, we shed some light on the Gigai. At first level, you gain the ability to use Soul Transference. Soul Reapers are adept at manipulating their souls and soul pressures. This gives them the ability to transfer their soul into a Gigai, or temporary body. While inside a Gigai, Soul Reapers appear to be normal humans as their soul pressure is contained by the Gigai. However, Soul Reapers may summon their Zanpakuto while in their Gigai. You may enter or exit a Gigai with a bonus action. If you are made unconscious inside of a Gigai, you are forced out next to it, and must make saving throws for both your soul and Gigai. If a Gigai dies, it can be replaced by contacting the Soul Society and expending 1,500 gold pieces for service fees. So pretty cool, the Gigais were a big part of the series pre-Hueco Mundo, and the Gigai Doubles arc was certainly one of the cooler filler arcs. Better than, say, the Bound arc. Actually, I'm kidding, it's been like 10 plus years since I've watched the Bound arc, but I don't remember disliking it. That said, I really liked Memories of Nobody with Senna, and I think people hated that one, so whatever. Anyway, it definitely adds that flavor of detail that I wouldn't think of, the necessity and the lore behind the Gigai. So again, another reason why building off of this class makes for a much more accurate representation of a Soul Reaper Bleach class than something I tried to make by myself. Finally, to close off first level, my first original feature, Soul Trait. You are born with an innate ability matching the subclass you wish to choose that gives you one of the following benefits. Byakuya. You gain a plus 20% damage roll bonus when you have full health. At 20th level, the cooldown of special Zanpakuto weapon attacks is reduced by a round. Toshiro. The cooldown of special Zanpakuto weapon attacks is reduced by a round. At 20th level, all of your special Zanpakuto weapon attacks deal plus 16% more damage. Sajin. All Zanpakuto weapon attack damage rolls are increased by plus 20%. At 20th level, all damage you take is reduced by 12%. Shunsui. All special Zanpakuto weapon attack damage rolls are increased by plus 20%. At 20th level, all special Zanpakuto weapon attacks recharge 1 round earlier. So, 2 important things. 1, most of that won't make sense or won't matter until you get to the 7th level, and even then you may not entirely understand unless you play Bleach Brave Souls, so I'll help to explain if I can. 2, for those of you who don't play Bleach Brave Souls, soul traits are basically a passive boost somewhat unique to each character. I say somewhat because multiple characters can have a given passive boost, but a version of a character can only have one. Example. 1000-Year Blood War Byakuya has a plus 20% bonus to his damage when he's at full health. Other versions of Byakuya, like Soul Society Arc Byak or The Last Byak, will have different soul traits. And characters that aren't Byakuya can have a plus 20% damage bonus when they're at full health. But you will never get a copy of this specific Byakuya, the 1000-Year Blood War Arc one, that doesn't have that soul trait. Next, 2nd level gives you the Kido feature. Starting at 2nd level, you have learned the ways of Kido. You may start learning basic Bakudo, Hado, and Kido spells, barriers, and seals. Kido is a fairly useful utility for Soul Reapers with enough wit and guile to make it work for them. For more information on the Kido system and spell slots, hit up the wiki. This ain't my thing, and I only created one Hado because Shunsui's Strong Attack 2 has him using one. 3rd level is where we get our first subclass, the subclass you'd get from the original Soul Reaper class. My subclass is gained at 7th level, but let's talk about your soul path. As of 3rd level, you choose a soul path that helps to define you as a Soul Reaper. And then you choose one. Zanjutsu Expert. By focusing less on Kido training, you put all of your time into physical training and mastery of your skill with the blade. You gain +2 to attack rolls with your Zanpakuto. So this is the class that deals chiefly with your Zanpakuto, whereas the next subclass is more of a Nanao Tessai type Soul Reaper. Kido Expert. As of 3rd level, you gain a +2 to your spell modifier and save DCs. Kido Masters seek to learn all of the known Bakudo in the Soul Society. They excel at situational analysis and are usually well studied. Some Kido experts dream of learning all 99 of the known Bakudo, Kido, barriers, and seals that the Soul Reapers have at your disposal. Some of the more corrupted seek to only gain power through the lost arts of the unnumbered Kido. As is described, the first subclass is more fighter, this is more wizard. Though something to note, I left this option in out of respect to the author's original intent, but my subclass system featured later greatly relies on you taking the Zanjutsu Expert subclass, so you've been warned. Foregoing Kido training, you gain Ho-Oh as a Zanjutsu Expert. At 3rd level, by foregoing Kido training, you have learned to move at a greater pace than other Soul Reapers. You increase your movement speed by 10. You may push yourself, using an action, to perform a Reaper's Sprint, moving up to 3 times your movement speed. You may only use your Reaper's Sprint once and regain it after completing a short or long rest. In addition, this ability counts as evasion. This means that if an attack that causes you to make a dexterity saving throw fails to hit you, instead of taking half damage, you take none. Pretty damn good feature. You're faster, you get a Bleach-style feline agility, and you get evasion. Fuck yeah, dude. Foregoing basically my entire shits, you get Kido Expert's Eisho Haki. At 3rd level, you have learned to cut the time on certain incantations without lowering their power. You may now cast Kido that would normally take 1 minute to prepare as an action. However, if the incantation is part of the 100 plus Kido, or more well known as the Forbidden Kido, this effect does not take place. So that's actually really fucking cool. For those of you that can't imagine the utility of this feature, think of all the times you wish you could have casted a minute casting time spell with just an action. Like, damn, dude. At 4th level, get yourself an ability score boost or feat. I don't know about feats for a Soul Reaper build, as I've only ever gotten to use the Soul Reaper class in a single game before as a test, and it was Byakuya, so I just basic bitch amped his ability scores. But I'm certain you guys could figure out some really cool synergies, and look forward to hearing about them in the comments below so that I can steal them. 5th level gets us extra attack. That's it. Pretty short and sweet, definitely useful, and I dare say important for any martial class to not get power crept mid to late game. 6th level, getting a little closer to the me part, but I do get a little say in this level. Flash Step is an example of one I added to. At 6th level, your skill and practice in quickening your own movement allows you to Flash Step as a bonus action. A lightning quick movement transporting you up to 30 feet away. This cannot be used in the same round as Ho-Oh. The number of times per bonus action you can Flash Step depends on your Blood Warfare archetype you choose at 7th level. Until one is chosen, you can only Flash Step once per bonus action. The following list is how many Flash Steps per bonus action you have depending on your Blood Warfare archetype. Byakuya has 2 Flash Steps per bonus action. Toshiro has 2 flash steps per bonus action. Sajin has 2 flash steps per bonus action. Shunsui has 2 flash steps per bonus action. So you get to just basically teleport 30 feet as a bonus action, although it's important to note that this is not actually a teleport. If I'm remembering correctly, flash step is described as increasing the distance you cover between each step. So if that's true, you're basically covering 30 feet in a single step as a bonus action, kinda like Steroid's Misty Step. Also, thank you author by balancing it by not allowing the user to use Ho-Ho on the same turn. Wouldn't have thought of that myself. Anyway, you get to flash step once until you get your subclass next level. Then you get a second one since everyone in the Eyes Wide Open banner gets the Sprinter +1 skill, which, for those uninitiated, just means that they can flash step twice. Flash step in the game is a little 5-foot dash that gives iframes, invulnerability frames, or a period of time where your character is invincible. You move fast via dashing, and it's a good dodge mechanic. Sprinter +1 is a skill most characters get as they level up, allowing you to flash step twice in a row, which in turn allows you to cover double the distance and doubles your iframes. Anyway, moving on, we have our next Zanjutsu Expert and Kido Expert features, Soul Resonation and Mental Master respectively. With Soul Resonation, you have focused long and hard, and now acknowledge that your blade, though made of your own soul, has a will and a soul of its own. Though you still do not know its name, this bond allows you and your sword to synchronize to new heights in power. At 6th level, your Zanpakuto is a +1 weapon and deals 2d6 slashing damage. At 9th level, your Zanpakuto is a +2 weapon and deals 2d8 slashing damage. At 13th level, your Zanpakuto is a +3 weapon and deals 2d10 slashing damage. Alright, pretty simple concept. Your gi, your class's main armor, grows stronger with you because it's intrinsically tied to your soul, the source of your power, and that same tie applies to your Zanpakuto, so the scaling should apply as well. Makes sense. With Mental Master, you have sharpened your mind far further than any Zanpakuto has ever been. Because of this, when calculating how many Kido you may prepare at one time, you add your intelligence modifier twice as opposed to once as normal. Damn, that's a lot of spells, my guy. Nothing ground-shattering yet. I'd probably still take Zanjutsu Expert over Kido Expert, but it's definitely setting up some late-game insanity. It's just a shame we won't see it play out on this channel, as everything dealing with subclasses from this point on, barring a single feature, is 100% Red Fox BBS original, so not much more Kido and Zanjutsu Expert stuff from the original class. Except one Kido Expert feature. And kind of a Zanjutsu Expert feature technically, but we'll get to that. Finally, at 7th level, my BBS subclasses come to light. With Blood Warfare Archetype, you choose an archetype that you strive to emulate in your combat style and techniques. The archetype you choose grants you features at 7th level, and again at 9th, 14th, 15th, 17th, 18th, and 20th level. Some of your features require your target to make a saving throw to resist the feature's effects. The saving throw DC is calculated as follows. Reishi save DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier. This will be our subclass feature, and as a side note, I chose charisma because it's supposed to be your soul power and or willpower, like I mentioned before. Next, Zanjutsu experts get Shikai/Bonkai. Your weapon and you are one and the same. Your thoughts and emotions, your very wills, are intertwined, allowing you to draw forth the maximum power your weapon is capable of. You now gain critical hits with rolls of 19 or 20. While in Shikai/Bonkai form, a short phrase is uttered to unleash the power within, and spending a 4th level spell slot, and work with your DM to find your weapon's special ability that is added as an effect, such as a bonus to certain types of Bakudo or Hado, a boost in speed, or some special attack. Your Shikai/Bonkai lasts for 20 minutes. This feature, and all of its incredibly janky wording that made it incredibly difficult to record these lines, are all from the original class, but along with being integral to the Soul Reaper identity and Homebrew class, it's also integral to my subclasses, but I'll explain that more after explaining what Kido experts get. With Niju Eisho, you have learned to cast 2 Kido spells in the same turn. Similar to the sorcerer's ability Quicken Spell, you can cast 2 Kido spells on the same turn. However, doing so has its limits. When choosing Kido to cast, keep in mind that the total spell of both Kido cannot exceed the current highest level Kido you can cast. If you can cast a 4th level Kido at best, the 2 you choose to use can both be 2nd level or a combo of a 3rd and 1st level Kido. In addition, when using this ability, Eisho Haki cannot take effect due to the taxation of the mind. Ah damn, we got double spellcasting in one turn! That's the type of thing I like, being able to do more cool stuff for the couple of seconds it's my turn in my 10-minute combat encounters. That said, let's move on to the different Zanjutsu subclass options inspired by Bleach Brave Souls and the subclass feature that comes along with each option. For Blood Warfare archetype Byakuya Kuchiki, Byakuya comes to know fear in the fight against the Quincy's, and after losing his Bankai, he's forced to examine his true strength. After defeating his enemy with a secret Zenbon Zakura technique, he dispatches Rukia and Renji to help Ichigo. Keeping it simple, the description of this subclass and every other one we construct is simply the description in Bleach Brave Souls. But let's talk about what we get, the feature, the Shikai/Bankai, that makes our Soul Reaper into the captain of the 6th Division of the 13 Court Guard Squad, Captain Byakuya Kuchiki. For taking the Byakuya Kuchiki subclass, we get Zenbon Zakura Kageyoshi. At 7th level, you master your Bankai, a much larger version of Zenbon Zakura's Shikai. To activate it, you must drop your sword. The sword passes through the ground and 2 rows of giant blades rise up from the ground on either side of you. These then scatter into millions of tiny blades, with the number of blades being great enough that you can use them for defense and offense at the same time. As with your Shikai, its attack is triggered with the phrase, scatter. This feature grants you 1 Zanpakuto weapon attack option and 3 special Zanpakuto weapon attack options you can use while wielding your Zanpakuto. Zanpakuto weapon attack. You can attack with a crescent-shaped wave made of the cherry blossom blades. The wave travels out 10 feet in front of you and is 10 feet wide. This attack deals 2d6 slashing damage, or half as much if the target succeeds on a dexterity saving throw. Special Zanpakuto weapon attack 1. You can send out a wave of cherry blossom blades in a line 60 feet in front of you and 20 feet wide. This attack deals 3d6 slashing damage to any hostile creature within range that fails a dexterity saving throw, or half as much on a successful save. This skill has a cooldown of 1 round. Special Zanpakuto weapon attack 2. You can form a barrier made of cherry blossom blades 10 feet around you. The barrier has 3 layers, is centered on you, pushes outward, and any hostile creature within range is pushed away and shredded by the petals of the barrier. Any friendly creature within 40 feet is protected by a shield of their own as well, though their shield only has 1 layer. Creatures must make a dexterity saving throw. They take 4d6 slashing damage or half as much on a successful save. The barrier remains centered on you even as you move, and when you are successfully hit with an attack or subject to any saving throw to avoid an area of effect attack, any damage you would have taken is reduced to 0 and a layer of your shield is destroyed. This barrier lasts for 3 rounds and has an 8-round cooldown. Zanpakuto weapon attack 3. You can create a blizzard of cherry blossom blades 250 feet around you. These blades deal 46 slashing damage to all hostile creatures within range that fail a dexterity saving throw, or half as much on a success. The cooldown for this attack is 4 rounds. At 9th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a d8. At 13th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a d10. Well, with those Zanpakuto weapon attacks, we have our Nad String and 3 specials from the 1000-Year Blood War Byakuya unit. Also, that stuff in the Soul Trait feature finally makes sense now. Moving right along to our next subclass in Toshiro Hitsugaya, Toshiro's Bankai, Daiguren Hyorin Maru, finally reaches full maturity in the fight against the Quincy's, but the process ages him slightly. Also, before we get into the actual feature, you'll notice at the beginning that it provides a bonus to all the physical stats, strength, dexterity, and constitution. This is supposed to reflect the fact that when Toshiro enters this Bankai, it forces him to age, because his body as it is can't handle the power of his Bankai. So you can decide with your DM if you want that to have a physical effect on your character, like you want them to age like Toshiro did, but as it stands, all it really does is just gives you that bonus to reflect that adult maturity transformation he has. With complete Daiguren Hyorin Maru, you gain the true and complete form of your Bankai after all the flowers of ice that hover behind you have melted away. Upon activation, you gain a +2 bonus to your strength, dexterity, and constitution ability scores, at a maximum of 20. All types of your Zanpakuto weapon attacks can freeze a creature on a failed constitution saving throw, and you gain 3 special Zanpakuto weapon attack options you can use while wielding your Zanpakuto. Special Zanpakuto weapon attack 1. You can dash forward 10 feet, slashing all hostile creatures as you pass without invoking an opportunity attack. All creatures within melee weapon range of you as you are dashing take 2d6 cold damage, or half as much on a successful dexterity saving throw. Once your dash ends, an explosion of sub-zero air, ice shards, and hail launches out from you. Any creature within 10 feet of you must make a dexterity saving throw. Creatures take a d6 of cold damage or half as much on a successful save. This move has a cooldown of 1 round. Special Zanpakuto Weapon Attack 2. You can launch a wave of large ice shards jutting from the ground 10 feet across and 60 feet forward. Creatures in range must make a dexterity saving throw. They take 3d6 cold damage or half as much on a successful save. This attack action has a 3-round cooldown. Special Zanpakuto Weapon Attack 3. You can whip up a massive blizzard that covers 200 feet in every direction centered on you. The sub-zero air and hail deal 4d6 cold damage to all enemies within range, or half as much on a successful dexterity save. This attack action has a 4-round cooldown. Frozen. Frozen creatures are incapacitated and can't speak or move, with the exception of actions that do not require physical movement. The creature automatically fails strength and dexterity saving throws. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage. Any attack that hits the creature is a critical hit if the attacker is within 5 feet of the creature. This effect can be ended if the frozen creature succeeds on a DC 25 strength saving throw or is exposed to heat for 5 rounds or extreme heat, excess of 50 fire damage, for 1 round. At 9th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a D8. At 13th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a D10. So we got the character attacks, but we also have a new condition for the subclass, Frozen. The way Frozen is normally treated in D&D, not so much as a condition, but as something that pops up in spells and monster attacks from time to time, is that it usually just reduces a creature's movement to 0. That fucking sucks, so I made it better. Back on track with Sajin Komamura. In order to avenge Genryusai, Sajin undergoes his tribe's humanification ritual. It gives him immense power and an indestructible body for a short time, but it comes with a heavy price after the battle is completed. Sajin for me got such an amazing glow up in this arc, like Byakuya and Toshiro were already cool and got cooler, but for me, Sajin was always a captain I never really wanted to see more of. His plotline with Kaname did a good enough job of making him relevant and developing his character, but I was never really begging to see more Sajin until he became an immortal fucking Giga Chad spirit of vengeance. So let's see if we can take on that role with Tenken. You unlock your Shikai. You are able to manifest colossal phantom body parts to mimic your movements. This feature grants you 3 special Zanpakuto weapon attack options you can use while wielding your Zanpakuto. When you use one of your 3 special Zanpakuto weapon attack options, Tenken will mimic the attacks along with you. Tenken's range and damage is double to yours. Special Zanpakuto Weapon Attack 1. You can dash forward 5 feet and swipe at an upward diagonal angle, slashing all in your way without invoking an opportunity attack. Any hostile creatures within 15 feet of your dash take 2d6 slashing damage on a failed dexterity saving throw, or half as much on a successful one. Creatures hit at the end of the dash take an additional d6 slashing damage. This attack option has a 1-round cooldown. Special Zanpakuto Weapon Attack 2. You can perform a double slice that also produces 2 X-shaped slash waves in a 5-foot wide, 20-foot long line in front of you. Creatures within range of the slashes must make a dexterity saving throw. They take 3d6 slashing damage or half as much damage on a successful save. This attack option has a 3-round cooldown. Special Zanpakuto Weapon Attack 3. You can strike the ground and Tenken will strike it with you, causing the ground to crack and explode from the force. Any hostile creature within 200 feet must make a dexterity saving throw. They take 46 bludgeoning damage or half as much on a successful save. This attack action option has a 4-round cooldown. At 9th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a d8. At 13th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a d10. Sajin's Shikai/Bankai feature was definitely the hardest to make because he doesn't really have one in the game, it's just Sajin using his Zanpakuto. I could have done his humanization process, but that, like in the manga/anime, seems more like an endgame ability, not something to gain at 7th level. I opted to go with his Shikai, Tenken, because we do see an arm of Kokujo Tengen Myo'o when he uses his special attacks, which is probably supposed to be Tenken, but it's uncertain for reasons I'll get into later. Finally, moving on to our final Eyes Wide Open variant subclass, Shunsui Kyoraku, ladies and gentlemen. Shunsui is promoted to head captain of the 13 court guard squads after the death of Genryusai Yamamoto. He devises many plans to fight the Quincy's, and he and Nanao fight together on the front lines, with Shunsui even unleashing his Bankai. Seeing as Shunsui primarily fights in Shikai, and this remains the case during the 1000-Year Blood War arc, our Shikai/Bankai feature is going to be, of course, Katen Kyokatsui. At 7th level, you unlock your Shikai. Katen Kyokatsui has the power to make children's games a reality. She forces all within its area of influence to abide by the rules of the game of choice, including yourself, or die. This feature grants you 3 special Zanpakuto weapon attack options while you wield your Zanpakuto. Special Zanpakuto weapon attack 1. You can dash 10 feet forward toward a creature and slash any creature within 5 feet of your dash without invoking an opportunity attack, dealing 2d6 piercing damage or half as much on a successful dexterity saving throw. As you do, 2 shadow clones appear to your left and right and mirror your actions, with the charging slashes of both clones and yours converging on the creature. Creatures that would be hit by the slash must make a wisdom saving throw. If they fail, they must roll their dexterity saving throw to avoid your attack at disadvantage due to being distracted by the illusory shadow clones. At the end of your dash, 3 shadow blades rise from the ground, impaling any creature in a 15-foot by 15-foot area in front of you. Creatures within range take an additional 2d6 necrotic damage, or half as much on a successful dexterity saving throw. This skill has a 1-round cooldown. Special Zanpakuto Weapon Attack 2. You can cast Hado number 78 Zangarin without using any of your spell slots. This skill has a 3-round cooldown. Special Zanpakuto Weapon Attack 3. You can leap into the air and slash downward in an X formation, launching an X-shaped slash of darkness to cut any hostile creature within 250 feet of you. Creatures within range take 46 necrotic damage or half as much on a successful dexterity saving throw. This skill has a 4-round cooldown. At 9th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a D8. At 13th level, your Zanpakuto's damage die is increased to a D10. So we have all his specials in terms of the game abilities his Shikai gives him. And as for that second special attack, casting Zangarin, the stats for it are as follows. Hado number 78 Zangarin is a 7th level conjuration non-ritual spell that takes an action to cast, has a range of 20 feet, has only a verbal and somatic component, the Hado incantations and hand signs, has an instantaneous duration, and has the following effect. You generate a large amount of energy from your Zanpakuto before blasting it outward with enough power to level a building. This attack deals 4d10 magical slashing damage in an area of effect around you, or half as much on a successful dexterity save. 8th level, you get an ability score improvement. Remember that your Reaper's Gi relies on multiple stats, so if you pool into those, you could end up with a pretty hefty AC at the end of things. Sprinter isn't the only skill character units unlock in Bleach Brave Souls, and we're going to be getting those skills for ourselves starting now at 9th level. Very quickly, I'll go ahead and rattle off the features and the effects of each, and then talk about them. Byakuya Kuchiki gets Bruiser, a skill that boosts your strong attack damage in BBS and boosts the damage dealt by your Zanpakuto weapon attacks by plus 30% in our Homebrew class. Toshiro Hitsugaya gets Long Reach, which extends your attack reach in BBS and extends your melee weapon attack reach by plus 20% in our Homebrew class. Sajin also gets Long Reach, but only for plus 15%, and Shunsui gets a plus 30% Bruiser. These bonuses of course don't apply to the ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack you'll be receiving at 14th level, but Toshiro and Sajin get extended reach so they up their crowd control ability, and Byakuya and Shunsui are hitting harder so you've got them as your hard hitter subclasses. 10th level gets us nothing new. Yeah. But at 11th level we get the original class Reaper of Souls feature. At 11th level, your experience has taught you the best way to cleanse hollows and non-hollows alike. Your Zanpakuto counts as magical for the purposes of overcoming resistances. I originally had a feature like this added to my Zanpakuto feature when I was trying to make this class from scratch, but when I saw this on the original Soul Reaper class on the wiki, I liked this a lot better. The fact that you gain access to the damage type more likely to overcome resistances and immunities at later levels works much better for balancing purposes. We get another ability score improvement at 12th level, consider feats like Slasher, the classic Lucky, or anything else that may come to mind depending on the subclass. We get Hakuda at 13th level, which bumps our unarmed strike up to a D4 bludgeoning damage, which in my opinion seems a little late to be worrying about that, but in the event that we somehow get disarmed, I guess a D4 of damage is better than just straight up 1 damage, at least until we get our weapon back. Back to the BBS stuff I added, we gain our ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack, the thing I mentioned earlier that's supposed to represent your Soul Bomb special in BBS. You unlock a powerful technique or transformation depending on your Blood Warfare archetype. So the way the original class was set up, you got your Shikai at 7th level and your Bankai at 14th level, but because some units in BBS are already in their Bankai at base without any transformation mechanics, I modified the feature so that units that start in Shikai would activate their Shikai using the 7th level feature, and units that start in Bankai would activate their Bankai. That left room for the feature that was previously the Bankai feature to be turned into the class's Soul Bomb ultimate attack feature, which for some units is their Bankai like the original feature, units like Sajin and Shunsui, but for others was a powerful technique for units that were already in their Bankai to start with. Units like Byakuya with his secret technique Ika Senjinka, or Toshiro with his Shikai Hyoketsu, a technique exclusive to his Bankai after all the petals melt and he's achieved his adult transformation. Speaking of, before I get ahead of myself and dive into those special attacks, let's talk about what the Kido experts get. With Niju Eisho Haki, your mind is sharper, sturdier, and more flexible than the strongest of any known Zanpakuto known in the Soul Society. You have learned how to control your soul pressure to the point that casting 2 Kido at the same time is mere child's play. You may now use the effects of Niju Eisho and Eisho Haki at the same time. In addition, the max level of the Kido that you can cast is now equivalent to the max level of Kido you can cast plus your Soul Reaper level divided by 5, rounded up. This feature just seems like a very logical conclusion to the Kido Expert subclass. Niju Eisho was a good feature, Eisho Haki was a good feature, put them together and you've got a great feature and a strong spellcaster. That's not always the case, but in this instance, I think the original author did a great job of making each feature so that they could be seamlessly combined and then capitalizing on said fact by doing so. Alright, let's move on to the moment we've all been waiting for. Ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attacks. First,
Senkei Senbonzakura Kageuchi Ikka Senjinka.
You unlock a secret Senkei Senbonzakura Kageyoshi technique that causes immense damage to any enemy it hits. You attack all hostile creatures within 400 feet of you with all of your Senkei swords at once as your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack. Hostile creatures within range must make a dexterity saving throw. They will take 5d10 piercing damage or half as much on a successful save. This feature can only be used 3 times per long rest. Same description as BBS, big range to delineate it from a move that has a range that covers the full screen, and a true blue full screen attack. A smidge more damage than your strongest normal special Zanpakuto weapon attack, and a 3 times per long rest limit because you have a 3 soul bomb capacity for your ultimate attacks in the game. When your complete Bankai is active, you gain access to your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack, where you freeze all matter in the time it takes for you to walk 4 steps, freezing enemies and inflicting immense damage. You flash freeze everything within 400 feet of you. Anything your eyes touches is treated as though it is in an anti-magic field and cannot activate traits or features. Creatures within range must make a Constitution saving throw, and are frozen for 2 rounds if they fail. This attack deals 5d10 cold damage and can only be used 3 times per long rest. Of course, like in BBS, the main difference between this and, say, Ika Senjinka is the skills affecting it and the fact that Toshiro has the freezing effect on all of his attacks. Moving on to Sajin Komamura with his humanization technique feature. Also prepare yourself because it's kind of broken, or I guess it can be, but honestly not much more broken than the official Wizards of the Coast made Human Revenant, but invincibility is understandably always going to be broken to some degree. You become human and gain a new ability temporarily by removing your heart. You become immune to all forms of damage for a single combat encounter, regardless of how long it lasts. After the encounter is over, the DM will decide whether you are just or vengeful, with your moral alignment and all actions taken up to this point being put into consideration. If you are just, this transformation becomes permanent. If you are found to be vengeful, your race will become that of a normal wolf, your statistics will reflect your race, and your class is removed. So I had some apprehensions with adding this, and as a matter of fact, I may remove this feature in the future, but for now, the best I can do is make it optional. The class operates just fine without it, and Sajin's immortality isn't really represented in BBS beyond his having poise anyway, and other characters in the game that aren't immortal in this series have poise, so whatever, I don't know. Moving on to you can activate your Bankai in its truest form. Stripped of its armor, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o attacks, causing immense damage to anything it hits. This is Kokujo Tengen Myo'o's form while under the effects of the humanization technique. Its armor class becomes 0 and it can no longer take damage. Upon activating this Bankai, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o attacks by slamming its sword into the ground, creating a shockwave and an explosion of rocks, wind pressure, and reiatsu. Hostile creatures within 400 feet of you must make a dexterity saving throw. They take 5d10 bludgeoning damage or half as much on a successful save. Furthermore, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o will follow you and mimic your movements until your next short or long rest or until you dissipate it as a free action. While Kokujo Tengen Myo'o is present, you gain the following benefits. When you use normal Zanpakuto weapon attacks, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o will also perform the attack as well. His range, bonus to attack rolls, and damage rolls are all doubled to yours. When you use your first special Zanpakuto weapon attack option, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o will mimic the attack simultaneously. The length and damage of the slash is doubled to yours when Kokujo Tengen Myo'o performs it. When you use your second special Zanpakuto weapon attack option, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o will mimic the attack simultaneously. The damage, length, and width of the attack is doubled to your attack when Kokujo Tengen Myo'o performs it. When you use your third special Zanpakuto weapon attack option, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o will mimic the attack simultaneously. The attack range and damage is doubled to yours when Kokujo Tengen Myo'o performs it. When Kyokujo Tengen Myo'o Dangai Joe is used, all special Zanpakuto weapon attack cooldowns are reduced to 0. This attack can only be used 3 times per long rest. So it's to be expected, though it's worth mentioning that, because in BBS, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o doesn't actually appear in-game, but is described as being there in-game, I made it so that he appears in the game for D&D, and gave him an armor class in case he's targeted for an attack. Something that can happen in our D&D games, but not in BBS. This is what I was talking about before. Kokujo's appearance in the game is limited to just seeing his arm appear, which is similar to how Tenken works overall. So we can now summon a big boy to smash shit, and unlike in BBS, where when you activate this transformation and it's still just an arm, Kokujo will be smashing shit full body there. Finally, one of the coldest bankais in the series, you unleash a multi-staged attack that causes immense damage to any enemy it hits and has a very small chance to instantly kill. When you activate your Bankai, an aura covers an area of 600 feet around you. This aura changes others' perception of the surrounding environment, making them perceive it as darkened, bleak, and gloomy, and causes others to feel varying levels of melancholy and despair. You can activate the following stages as an action in order of first to final. First Dan, hesitating sharing of the wound. When you activate this ability, any wounds that you or anyone else within the aura inflicts on the body of others will emerge on the inflictor's body as well, as if shared like in the story of a man who suffers from the same wounds as his partner, but cannot die from them. Affected creatures receive any wounds and take any damage that they have dealt to other creatures within range, but they cannot die due to wounds and damage inflicted. Second Dan, Bed of Shame. You can activate this ability after your first Dan, causing black spots to appear all over the bodies of creatures within your aura, causing them to bleed profusely and take a d10 of necrotic damage at the start of each of their turns. Like the man feeling shame after wounding his partner, causing him to collapse in bed and become incurably ill. Third Dan, Dangyo's Abyss. You can activate this stage to summon a massive amount of water that engulfs you and all creatures within range of your aura, who remains within it until one of them runs out of reiatsu and drowns, like the 2 characters from the story who both hurl themselves into gushing waters. Creatures within have their magic spell slots drained while in this water, as well as their charisma ability score by 1d2 points per round. After 10 rounds, any creature within will be frozen to the soul, and if any creature's ability score is reduced to 0, they can no longer take actions of any kind or move. If any creature within runs out of magic spell slots, they will die. The effects of this stage end when you choose to activate the final Dan. Final Dan, Thread-Cutting Shears, Blood-Stained Windpipe. Upon activating this stage and after sheathing your Zanpakutos, you wind a white thread around a creature's throat multiple times before pulling it taut, leaving a deep cut in their throat that expands before blowing up their head. Completing the story, the regretful man's partner ignores his pleas and mercilessly shears his throat. The creature you target must make a Constitution saving throw. The creature dies outright or takes 4d10 damage on a successful save. This skill can only be used 3 times per long rest. So the range is a little bigger, the damage of the final attack is a little less, but the insta-kill effect is way more likely to proc due to the difference between the insta-kill resist systems between games. In BBS, insta-kill just has a chance to proc, a low chance, but a chance. In D&D, there are saving throws, which usually have a die check greater than just a low chance. Also, I thought it was weird that all the Bankai stages appeared in the cutscene, so I had them have an effect. Maybe I'm biased towards Shunsui and his awesome Bankai. Oh, I'm sorry, were you waiting for a but? There's no but, I'm just supposing that I might be biased. Anyway, that's the grand finale, though hang on before you all close off the class with an incomplete feature list. We've got a couple more features in the form of skill upgrades. So Byakuya is going to get Havoc at 15th level, Berserker at 17th level, Weakened Defense at 18th level, and Bombardment at 20th level. For Havoc, the amount of petals you can produce to attack vastly increases due to the jump in your own power. The range of all of your special Zanpakuto weapon attacks is increased by plus 20%. For Berserker, your power and precision in your Zanpakuto grows greatly. All special Zanpakuto weapon attacks deal plus 40% more damage. For Weakened Defense, you pierce through the defense of the enemy and blow them away with your ultimate attack. The armor class of creatures hit by your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack is reduced by -5 for the next 2 rounds of combat. And for Bombardment, the power of your Bankai has doubled thanks to your hard training. The amount of hit die your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack deals is doubled. Can't really take credit for making these since I literally just converted the skills from the game, but at the very least I can tell you that the name of the game here is a ranged damage dealer with AoE and a shield. Toshiro is going to get Frenzy, Debilitator, Weakened Defense, and Devastation at 15th, 17th, 18th, and 20th level respectively. With Frenzy, your Zanpakuto strikes chill the enemy down to their very bones. The amount of hit die your special Zanpakuto weapon attacks deal is doubled. Debilitator makes it so that your Sub-Zero freezing lasts longer than normal ice. Conditions inflicted by you last 1 round longer than they normally do. Same as before with Byakuya, Weakened Defense has your cold permeate even the strongest defenses and freeze them inside out. The armor class of creatures hit by your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack is reduced by -5 for the next 2 rounds of combat. Devastation is probably your best skill upgrade because your full power blooms from the frozen flower that is your body in its prime. The damage dealt by your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack is increased by plus 40%. Sajin actually only gets 15th level Flurry, 17th level Berserker, and 20th level Poise, but since he gets the humanization technique as it stands anyway, it kinda balances out. Flurry. You can attack so fast, 2 attacks appear to be 1. Every time you land a Zanpakuto weapon attack, roll damage twice and add both rolls together. Berserker. The weight of your swings using your Zanpakuto grows, increasing the devastating impact of their attacks. All special Zanpakuto weapon attacks deal plus 30% more damage. And Poise. You're even more of an immovable immortal. You are now immune to the stun and prone conditions, and you can no longer be forcibly moved. So our attacks, when our strong attacks are on cooldown, hit twice, so no lack of damage when we don't have those ready thanks to Flurry. Berserker gets us that strong attack damage boost so that when those attacks come off cooldown, they hit hard enough to warrant the cooldown, especially considering that, due to the transformation mechanic of his ultimate attack that reduces all strong attack cooldown to 0, he can spam all 3 of his strong attacks twice in a row with an ultimate in between. Since stagger isn't a thing in D&D, I tried to make Poise as close to its original design as possible, so 2 conditional immunities, which is nothing to scoff at. Rounding off our subclass features before moving on to the Capstone class feature, we have the 4 upgrade skill features that our Shunsui class will be receiving. 15th level's Long Reach is going to get us that crowd control range we've been looking for in the form of giving our melee weapon attacks a bonus to reach of plus 20%. Next, we're going to get a huge amp to strong attack damage. By the way, when I say strong attack, I'm referring to our special Zanpakuto weapon attacks, with an effect that doubles the damage dealt by our special Zanpakuto weapon attacks from Frenzy at 17th level. At 18th level, our special Zanpakuto weapon attacks also get a nice range boost of plus 20% for better crowd control and damage output with Havoc. Finally, putting a big damage cherry on the top of our 20th level Shunsui Kyoraku Soul Reaper Sundae, Devastation is going to get us that plus 40% damage boost for our ultimate attack. Alright, finally, the moment you've all been waiting for! Or, well, kinda, because the ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack was pretty much the moment you've all been waiting for, but shut up, it's for dramatic flair. The Capstone feature at 20th level, Transcendence. As an aside, just remember that you've got some ASIs at 16th and 19th level that I didn't mention because I was talking about all the subclass features. But be sure to use them to round off points or grab that last minute feat. Now in BBS, there's a mechanic that exists for older units so that they aren't power crept as hard. A mechanic designed to make them a smidge more relevant considering their age, with some of them being like 8 years old at this point, and that mechanic is Transcendence. Like when getting to 20th level and receiving the last of our skill upgrade features, a character can be transcended, giving them about 2 extra upgrade skills, amongst some other stuff that I can't really translate into D&D via the base systems of the games being too different. That said, let's see what each subclass gets from the Transcendence feature. Byakuya Kuchiki, Multi-Barrier plus 2. When you use a feature that generates a shield around you and or friendly creatures, you now generate 2 more layers to that shield. Devastation. Your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack deals plus 30% more damage. Toshiro Hitsugaya, Havoc. The range of all of your special Zanpakuto weapon attacks is increased by plus 20%. Damage to frozen enemies. All of your attacks do plus 20% more damage to enemies inflicted by the frozen condition. Sajin Komamura. Your long reach bonus is increased to plus 20%. Bruiser. The damage dealt by your Zanpakuto weapon attacks is increased by plus 30%. Weakened defense. The armor class of creatures hit by your ultimate Zanpakuto weapon attack is reduced by -5 for the next 2 rounds of combat. Follow-up. Your attacks deal an additional die of damage to prone enemies. Shunsui Kyoraku. Damage inflicted at full hit points. The damage you deal with your attacks is increased by plus 20% when you're at full hit points. Follow-up. Your attacks now deal an additional die of damage to prone enemies. Alright! Now's my excuse to do what so many BBS YouTubers before me have done. Complain about the Transcendence skills for these characters. So Byakuya's multi-barrier is nice for sure, but why Devastation? For you non-BBS players who just want a Bleach class to play in D&D because of the Bleach hype, let me explain. Basically, if you couldn't tell, Byakuya doesn't need more ultimate damage. His ultimate already does a ton of damage. Heck, in the game, defense doesn't work like it does in D&D. It dictates how much damage an attack that hits you does. So with Byakuya's weakened defense, if it didn't drop AC and somehow made you take more damage from attacks, it would do even more damage than it does now. His strong attacks do good damage, his ultimate does great damage, it's like a fucking nuke, but his normal attacks definitely have fallen off by 20th level, which is hilarious because 1, it's even worse in BBS, and 2, I'm pretty sure he's a NAD character or a normal attack damage character, who's supposed to deal the bulk of his damage with normal attacks instead of strong attacks. Anyway, for Toshiro, they really just made a good character better. More damage for strong attacks, which is good in BBS because he's an SP character, or a spiritual pressure character, meaning his highest stat is spiritual pressure, the stat that dictates the power of your strong attacks. As for in D&D, stronger special Zanpakuto weapon attacks is never a bad thing, and considering all of his attacks, be it his normal attack, his strong attacks, or his ultimate, can freeze creatures, Debilitator making said freeze last a considerable amount of time longer, dealing more damage to frozen enemies is basically just a flat damage boost. Toshiro is going to be great for action economy, as freezing all the enemies means your party gets to attack them, but they don't get to attack you, and, being a frontline damage dealer, Toshiro is going to be great for action economy, as freezing all the enemies means your party gets to attack them and they don't get to attack you, and being a frontline damager, because in order to be frozen, they have to survive his tons of damage first. Moving on to Sajin, a little more long reach never hurts. Weakened defense will help us and our party members hit our attack rolls. Bruiser is good because after you use your ultimate, Kokujo Tengen Myo'o is going to benefit from that damage boost as well. And all of that is great, but follow-up is dog shit. In D&D it's much better because to prone a creature you could literally just shove them and there are tons of other things that can prone creatures, but in BBS only a select few things can prone a creature and still allow you to capitalize on them being prone to damage them. And for what it's worth, I suppose it's a good thing that it's better in D&D because fucking Shunsui gets follow-up too. Damn it. He also deals more damage at full health, which, while this is good for Byakuya, a ranged character with a shield ability, it's less good for Shunsui. In BBS it's fine because hitting an enemy stuns them, They can't hit you, and because it's a real-time game, you can attack them to stun them and dodge with a flash step when you can't. In a turn-based game, like, say, Dungeons and Dragons, all it takes is getting outsped in initiative and you could lose that bonus. It doesn't help that, as a melee-based fighter, you're likely to lose that bonus after a single round of combat anyway, as you'll be the first to be targeted as a frontline damage dealer. At least Byakuya can avoid this system transfer-based weakness by being a ranged fighter that can stay away from the front line and even use light as a feather from first level to fly out of the enemy melee range and snipe them from above. Alright folks, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. Be on the lookout for the next homebrew build that should be releasing alongside this one, Soul Reaper The Thirst. Let me know if this class was any good in the comments, don't forget to check out the Discord, and I've been the master of the 4,000 years of YouTube, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.